Evening. Welcome to the Fitchburg Municipal Airport Commission meeting, July 20th. It's 6:01. I'd like to thank people in attendance. To my far left is David Genesi, Beth Walsh, Commissioner Liberatore to my right, and to my immediate right, Airport Manager Peter Kettle, and Mayor Di Natale is here with us tonight. Also, we have on Zoom Jacqueline Marks and Matt Karen. Thank you all for coming, and persons in attendance, Mary Jo Bohart. Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight's meeting. We're going to get things started. Call the meeting to order. We're going to start off with item 1, action items from previous minutes from last month's meeting. There's quite a few action items. We're going to go through them pretty quickly here. Really just a follow-up to... Yes.
May I just say, in order to avoid that, everything that's within the published minutes are in the actual agenda moving forwards.
You already confirmed that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on then. Thanks, Peter.
Welcome.
Any correspondence to the commission that you know of?
I have none.
Okay.
I've received none.
I'm going to go I'm going to go out of order here to approve last month's meeting minutes. Everyone received them pretty promptly and end of June. Thank you, Richard. Liberatore, appreciate it. I went through them. They look okay with me. I'm okay with motioning to accept. So I would motion to accept last month's meeting minutes.
Second.
A vote, please.
Aye.
Aye.
4-0, seconded, Beth. Motion. Thank you. Gale review, ongoing work. Can you both hear me fine?
Yep, loud and clear. Can
Excellent.
everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, we're good. We have your review in front of us, so fire away.
Perfect. And thank you so much, Peter, for printing those out for us and providing those to the commission members. I'll just jump right in to the Airport Master Plan Update Project. So I know we had talked a little bit about the utility poles along Crawford Street, and we're still awaiting guidance from FAA. I spoke with FAA representative this week, and he indicated to me that they're working through things internally and that they hope to have a response at some point in the future. They just need some time to work through what should be done about those utility poles. So stay tuned on that, and we'll get further guidance from FAA as time moves along. But as we learn new information, we will certainly provide update to the commission on that. The other item is the airport layout plan. If you recall, we had voted, or the commission had voted, to upload that through the OE AAA process so that FAA can begin their review of that document. So that was uploaded on the 27th of June, and the review period is a minimum of 45 days. So that would be, soonest we would expect a response on that would be somewhere about the August 11th timeframe. Also went ahead and provided Mass DOT with a copy of the draft master plan and airport layout plan. The full, I guess you'd call it a draft final airport master plan and layout plan are up on the city website currently, so the public can go on the city website and view those documents, and if there are any questions, of course, direct them to the commission, and those can be addressed. Any questions about the master plan?
We're all set. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll move on to project number 2 on page 2 of 3 of our update. So the environmental assessment and wildlife hazard assessment, Matt and I, and also Peter Kettle, had a meeting yesterday with the FAA regarding the AIP grant for the environmental assessment and wildlife hazard assessment. And we were informed by FAA that unfortunately, until that airport layout plan that's part of the master plan process is signed and finalized, FAA actually cannot issue AIP funding for the environmental assessment and wildlife hazard assessment. So Gail is working with FAA and worked with Peter a little bit to develop some potential alternatives for keeping the environmental assessment project moving forward, because as you know, these projects that were contained in the master plan do have to go through environmental review before developments can be implemented. So it, as we understand, is a priority of the airport to get this process moving forward and finalized so that additional developments can happen at Fitchburg. So if you see there at the bottom of page 2 of 3 and then on to page 3, we've outlined some different options to try to keep this environmental assessment, wildlife hazard assessment on track. And so just hoping to review those options this evening with the commission. We have them prioritized here, best case scenario kind of to least desirable scenario, but wanted to, I guess, get the commission's take on what the priorities would be and make sure that we're all in agreement with a plan moving forward. So I'll just kind of go through the different options and of course jump in and stop me at any point if you have questions, and I'll just get into that now. So, option number 1, best case scenario would be the FAA is able to approve that airport layout plan in kind of an expedited manner, and get that signed so that a grant for the full EA and the environmental assessment and wildlife hazard assessment can be so the grant can be offered in fiscal year 2022. So that would be option 1, best case scenario. Option 2, the FAA, we talked to them a little bit about perhaps issuing a grant for the wildlife hazard assessment in 2022, and then essentially the city floating the cost of the environmental assessment portion of the work until a fiscal year 2023 grant can be submitted, which actually can happen on October 1st of this year. So, once that grant came through, the city would be reimbursed for any project expenses that were incurred for the environmental assessment. Option 3, again, FAA granting the wildlife hazard assessment money in August of 2022, and then the airport utilizing BIL funding to fund the environmental assessment in fiscal year 2022. So we estimate that the environmental assessment portion of the project would be about $130,000 of the available $295,000 in FY 2022 bill funding. So, then option 4, again, FAA issuing the grant for the wildlife hazard assessment in August of 2022, and then the airport waiting until the spring or summer of 2023 to start the EA. Disadvantage of that is essentially you would be delaying the environmental assessment, thereby delaying any improvements associated with the master plan for another year. And then just getting down, I'll go into option 5. So FAA unable to issue a grant for the wildlife hazard assessment and the environmental assessment in 2022, and the total project delayed until fiscal year 2023. Again, pushing back those additional projects until further years down the road. So those are the 5 options that we've come up with, and we just wanted to discuss them with the commission, make sure that we're in agreement with the path moving forward, and of course we'll advocate for the airport with FAA to try to move in the direction that the commission wishes.
Thank you, Jackie. Yeah, my first and foremost question is, what are the chances the FAA does not grant us money next year for this environmental assessment? In other words, will the city be on the hook for a year or longer?
I can jump in on that. So we did talk with Michelle. Part of it was Michelle Ritchie from the FAA's idea to go ahead and do that. In other words, the airport can start that work this summer and then submit that grant application for October 1st of 2022, which starts the federal fiscal year 2023. So we would just confirm, before going down that path, we would confirm with the FAA that they would be carrying those funds for the city for fiscal year 2023. So I don't think there'd be a significant risk, but that's certainly something that, again, we want to make sure that the FAA is agreeing to. We have it in writing. We all have a clear path forward for how that project's going to get funded.
Thank you. So best case scenario, if we were unable to float the money for the next 2 to 3 months, and we were to delay it, I guess my question would go to Peter. What is our immediate needs that we're missing out on for this 3-month delay?
Can I go back one step, please?
Yes.
At the meeting yesterday, where Matt and Jackie and the FAA and myself were present, they actually advised us that because the City Council was on sabbatical in August, it would be pointless them submitting it to the City Council because there's nobody there to take care of it. So that's when basically the other alternatives came up, which was presented by Matt and Jackie.
Yeah.
However, what I did yesterday was send a letter to Joanna, the city clerk, asking her, please, if there could be a special meeting arranged whereby the City Council comes in and they actually approve that, which is totally out of the ordinary. However, she forwarded that to Anthony Zarella, the president of the City Council, and he actually advised us that he would be very, very happy to do that. So I forwarded that information through to the FAA saying that the City Council is ready and able to move ahead in August. So really, we're waiting for the FAA to come back to us to say, okay, there's your grant, please sign it, get it back to us, and we've got the money. So there's no money taken from anything, the BIL or anything. And that's why I believe Gail actually identified as item 1 the main choice, the first choice. So assuming that the FAA gets their eggs in order or their eggs in the basket, we should be good to go.
Okay, so choice 1 requires a special meeting, with...
It requires the FAA to come to us with the grant.
Oh.
And once we've got that grant,
okay.
I have to write a letter to the mayor that goes to the City Council, and then they vote on it and we get the grant.
So we're going to go with 1.
Well, may I just jump in if you don't
Please,
mind?
Matt.
And just
Yeah,
kind of
please.
add to that. So option 1 obviously is best case scenario, but as Jackie mentioned, option 1 does hinge on the FAA's ability to approve the airport layout plan that was submitted on June 27th of this year.
Yeah.
So that airport layout plan, all the documents that need to be approved are currently sitting with FAA. And so that airport layout plan goes through various lines of FAA businesses. So it's not like it just goes to FAA New England region and someone like Michelle Ritchie needs to review it and she can sign off on it and then they can issue this grant. There are those various lines of businesses, flight procedures, New England region, of course, takes a look at it, and the other branches. All of those individuals need to come together, review it, and execute that airport layout plan. Then the FAA can issue the grant for the EA. It's just the environmental assessment piece that is holding up the grant right now, because that's contingent upon an executed airport layout plan. So we have everything, we have all of our eggs in the basket, or ducks in a row, as Peter was alluding to. And working, internally, Peter was able to secure, a special meeting if necessary in August, so that the city would be in a position to accept those funds should the airport layout plan get approved and the FAA can issue a grant. So short of the FAA being able to get an executed airport layout plan in time for August, that puts the other alternatives on the table for the commission to consider. And Mr. Chairman, to answer your question, if you delay doing the environmental assessment this year and say you wait a year, all that really is doing is pushing off your entire capital improvement program. It pushes off permitting for any of these projects, for, fencing, for example, and then it delays, fencing construction and your ability to use, certain pieces of land for non-aeronautical use. Some of the hangar development, I think the restaurants a consideration in the environmental assessment that we're looking at, and any of those other projects that we identified in the master plan. All of that gets delayed, at a minimum by a year if this EA doesn't go off on time. And I'll pause there and see if there's any other questions.
No, I appreciate the input. It almost sounds as if we can hope for Plan A, but we got to start thinking about Plan B, which
Right.
is to ask the city to float the
And
grant.
May I just explain why that's option 2 versus using the BIL funds, which is option number 3?
Yes, please.
Okay, so the bipartisan infrastructure law funding, the airport's going to be getting, right now for fiscal year 2022, the airport has $295,000 of BIL funds that you could tap into today. You could submit a grant application and draw down those funds. Come October 1st, the airport or the city is going to be getting, on top of that 295, approximately another $295,000. What's interesting about those monies is those are dedicated to the city of Fitchburg, and you can use those very much like you use airport improvement program funding, except you can use them on projects that wouldn't necessarily receive, a higher score or higher ranking to draw down airport improvement program funding. So the environmental assessment ranks pretty high to receive AIP funding. So, Jackie and I, when we were talking about this, our recommendation is for the airport to, hold on to those funds that you can go after another larger capital improvement project that you likely wouldn't get AIP funding for, and then use those BIL funds to fund that, special specific project.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Thank you, Matt. So when August comes and goes, and we don't have approval from the FAA, I suppose then at that point we can go for the other options?
I guess my recommendation is, and again, if you want to consider this and not, vote on it tonight, that's perfectly fine. I think what we're looking for is to make sure that we can continue to push and advocate for the airport to try and get this project just funded as it should be for fiscal year 2022.
Yeah.
Short of that, if the FAA comes up short in being able to get that ALP approved, I think we would want to start working with you, Mr. Chairman, and the airport manager to start whatever internal processes are required and get in front of City Council and Mr. Mayor and whomever else we need to talk about what that nut is that we're asking the city to float and how long we're asking them to float that before, a 2023 grant application would come through and be able to fund that project. We're looking to not delay this, I think, any further than what we might be running up against with, City Council not meeting in August and maybe some other, boards and folks going on vacation.
Yeah, I agree. So either way, we need a special meeting in August, and maybe we could have 2 agenda items on it.
It's possible, yeah. until we actually hear back from the FAA, which is what we're waiting for.
Yeah.
Peter, to his credit, quickly turned around, what he was assigned to do by the FAA. And so now we're waiting to hear back from the FAA as to whether or not they might be able to just keep this on, the 2022 radar as initially proposed.
I think that's what we should do is plan the special meeting with the council in hopes of item 1 pulling through, but we need Plan B on that agenda as well to explain the need for the,
So our best option is option 1. We want to start off with that one, correct?
we do, but that's going to take some, it's unlikely that's going to
Yeah,
all
I don't-
happen in time.
Yeah, I don't see you pulling the city council in. I mean, I don't think you're going to get full support on that.
I spoke with the council president last night. It's a given. They're meeting.
They're going to meet?
They're meeting in August, yes. Yeah, matter of fact, I think they've got 2 scheduled in August, special meetings.
So they're not taking.
One is yours, I don't know, is there another one? I mean, for you?
No, and there's only that
No,
one
just
for
one
us.
for you.
Yes.
I can't recall what he said, but again, they're time sensitive, and that's why they're meeting.
Right.
Which is all well and fine, and but we don't have a grant to accept right now.
Right.
So if we don't have a grant to accept and the FAA, the timeframe goes by, then we don't want to be behind an entire year. Right. I think that's what Matt was saying,
So
right?
Matt, if we set up a meeting with our city council, would the FAA say that we've already gone beyond our means to make this work? Would they come in and submit the grant and come down and meet with us?
Yeah, I think really, honestly, it's the airport layout plan that's holding this up. That's the sticking point. And unfortunately, that sits with them, that resides with them as we speak and has since June. So we're hoping that internally FAA can sort of expedite and get the correct signatures that we need for that airport layout plan. And then basically we're just going to the city council for them to approve and accept, whatever that value is for the environmental assessment. That's best case scenario.
Yeah, if the FAA is not going to be in tune with that August meeting, it's useless for us to even go to them.
Correct. And then
They got to
that's
submit that grant, right? To us first.
What's that?
They got to make the submitment to the grant, and then the city has to look at it and say, yeah, okay, we'll approve it, and
Correct.
and
So
both
yes.
parties are going to be involved if.
Yeah, without the FAA issuing a grant,
Yeah.
there's maybe or probably no reason for the airport to meet with the city council unless.
We have no guarantee
unless
on
the-
that,
Correct, we have no guarantee on that.
so.
We're still going to make the meeting, don't we? It's,
They're having the meeting in any case, because
any
there's one
case.
other subject to
Yeah.
have. And President Zarella actually said that, yes, he would gladly do this for the airport.
okay, so if
Gladly.
we're on the agenda and we have no information, we'll just be on the agenda with no information.
Exactly. But we have,
Well,
the FAA has 2.5 weeks, basically, because the next city council meeting, the urgent city council meeting, is August the 8th. So they have 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, okay.
And Michelle, the FAA knows this, and hopefully they will pull their fingers out and they'll get it done for us.
Okay.
So just to clarify, the FAA has to either approve the ALP and issue the grant for the EA and WHA, or just issue the grant for the WHA in order for us to move forward with either one or two.
Well, I don't think they can until
They
the
won't
ALP
until
is
the
approved.
ALP is approved.
Yeah, the wildlife hazard assessment portion of it, we believe, and I think Michelle's in agreement, that's an IOU from FAA, but we believe that they can issue that portion of this total project in fiscal year 22, regardless of the airport layout plan being executed.
So if that's the case, there's a good chance that this is going to go forward then.
Okay.
And that's important because that's a year-long wildlife hazard assessment study, and the last thing you want is for that to be delayed.
Right. Okay, so do you need you don't need a motion on the part of the commission right now? We just need
Well,
to,
Gail is asking for, you know, a definition of which one you want to choose.
Yeah, I just want to make sure before we start moving forward, and again, you know, if option one is not going to be something that's amenable for the commission to do this year, regardless of, you know, whose fault it is, FAA not being able to issue an airport layout plan, I do want to know if, you know, we have the support of the commission, or if the commission wants Gill Associates to start advocating for them to go to the city to talk about the importance of this project and see about the city floating the cost of the EA until we can submit a grant on October 1st. And then there's probably going to be a lag after that October 1st grant submission before the funds start to flow from the FAA. And so I just want to be crystal clear, you know, with what our marching orders are, that if option one is not feasible, that we should be moving into option two on behalf of the commission.
I have an opinion on that. Is it, in, what, it's open for discussion.
I think that makes the most sense
Yeah.
to go, if we can go forward with option one, go forward with option one, and if not, give them permission to move forward with option two.
Option 2 is an alternative, yeah.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Rich, do you have a problem with going to City Hall if option one falls down?
Oh, no.
Okay.
You want me to go and,
Beg?
no, submit our claim? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll speak to every counselor and do whatever I have to do.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The urgency is, it's important.
Delay is not what we want.
Yeah. So I don't know if he
I
doesn't
think the
really
mayor
need an
understands the
official,
severity of
well,
it,
he
right?
might, But,
I mean, you understand how this has got to be moved along.
I didn't want to prolong this, but what's the problem with FAA, once again?
So
I mean, why
basically.
can't they tell us, yes, we'll have it for you in August? What's this magic? You know, my frustration is, who do we have? I need someone to contact at FAA. Upper level guy or gal. Can you get that for me?
Most definitely, I can get that for you tomorrow,
Thank you.
first thing.
Thank you. Because this is ridiculous.
well, I agree. It puts
It's a
the,
bureaucratic quagmire. I mean, come on.
They want things to move right along smoothly, and they're right now putting a chock block in front of it.
Right, exactly. It's like,
Yeah,
come
man.
on,
and
let's
then-
go.
And then we're, groveling for money again with the city council, and they're like, geez, the
Exactly
airport
right,
again.
yeah. No, we get them
And
supporting us
it's
now
important,
with a
but
special meeting.
it's the FAA that put us in this position.
Yeah.
And they're usually pretty good at maintaining speed and staying ahead of with us. I'm struggling that they're,
So Matt,
They're
they
faulted
can't
on this.
tell us that they will have this for us in August.
No, like I said, I mean, honestly, they really are good. I mean, New England Region's really, really good to work with. And like I said, unfortunately, that airport layout plan doesn't just go through that line of business. It goes through all FAA lines of business. And I think that's where the delay comes in. Is it's not like you're just getting up out of your cube and going over and asking Jackie, how's she doing with the review and can you sign it? It's going off in multiple directions. So there's just a lag between when they're submitted and when they're actually approved. And unfortunately, we're kind of caught in that little situation right now.
Yeah.
But I do know, FAA and Michelle Ritchie and Colleen Mallew were definitely going back and advocating for the airport, and they were going to see what they could do in terms of trying to expedite this. We just haven't heard back from them yet. And hopefully, by the end of this week, we've got some better news, and all of this is a moot point, and we move forward with the grant app.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
Yeah, agree 100%, Matt, but in view of the fact that they say they would honour the wildlife hazard assessment and the EA prior to it being signed, I don't see there's a problem. I don't see there's a problem if the ALP is not already signed, because they did say that they would go to the side and issue the grant for the wildlife hazard assessment and the EA. So I think we should, I'm not on the commission, You know, I think this should be just signed now. Yes, this is item 1, this is item 2, and this is what we go with.
Yeah, I agree.
Matt, so it was Michelle, is it Ricky or Richie?
Richie.
Michelle Ritchie.
Richie. So she said off the cuff that the wildlife assessment could move forward even without the ALP?
I wouldn't necessarily say it was off the cuff, but we were bouncing a lot of ideas and solutions off the wall, and one of them was to keep the wildlife hazard assessment moving forward, because that portion of the project is not contingent on an approved airport layout plan.
Yes.
You could do a wildlife hazard assessment as a separate standalone project aside from an EA. So just thinking, you know, amongst ourselves, it made sense to, if you can't get the EA funded in 2022, to keep the wildlife hazard assessment moving, get the sub-consultant moving on that, because it's a year-long process, and that doesn't require the city to float any costs. You can get reimbursed like we do for all these other, you know, projects that we undertake. So that was the thought process behind that.
All right, so Peter's understanding is correct.
I think so, yeah. I believe that that is a correct statement by him, yes.
I mean, will we know more before that August 8th meeting?
I hope so. I mean, we're trying to find out more before the end of this week, let
Yes.
alone August, so.
Okay, what do you need from the commission now?
If the commission agrees with the order of preference that we've laid out options, we're going to advocate for the commission in order of these solutions. Starting with number 1, getting the ALP approved and issuance of a grant for fiscal year 2022, and we move on. Short of that, we will then start working internally with the city regarding floating of the costs for the EA portion only. Short of doing that, then the commission would look to use its BIL funding to fund the EA and keep that moving forward, and, you know, so on and so forth.
Okay. Let's put this to vote. I mean, put this for, I'll motion to accept Gail's priority list 1 through 5. Motion to accept.
Second.
Vote, please.
Aye.
All right, thank you so much. So I guess just moving on to the last item on Gail's update, the backup generator installation. So still waiting on Mass DOT to complete that independent fee estimate, and the project is anticipated as a fiscal year 2023 project at this time. And that was it for Gail's update. Does anyone have any other questions or concerns?
I have one question, Jackie, please. With respect to the generator, my understanding was that Nick and the engineer had asked if we wanted to include the flight school within the capacity of the generator that's going to power the new admin building. And what I said was that I would put that before the commission, because it does make a difference to the actual cost in the actual grant that we would get. So we have the whole admin building, less the flight school at the moment. For example, let's say it's 35 kilowatt. If we add the flight school on, it takes it up to 50. So to me, it personally makes sense to do the whole building and not just split it.
Of course.
Right.
So
It's no brainer.
it just needs the commission to say, yeah, we'll go with the whole building.
Peter, what was the cost increase? I mean, by,
It was maybe 10 or 15%.
what's that in
Well,
dollars?
I honestly don't know, because they haven't given us figures yet. I'm
Okay.
just guesstimating.
You happen to know, Gail?
Jackie?
I don't have that number in front of me.
Right.
I apologize.
Yeah, same here. We'll get that out to you though, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. If you're going to do this, include
Absolutely.
the airport. I mean, include everybody.
I mean, there's no telling that the flight school is going to be there for the next 10, 15, 20 years. We might occupy that entire space ourselves.
Right, that's what I was
So,
gonna say.
It's almost standard procedure when
I
you
mean, they rent from us,
Emergency
they expect
generators-
electricity.
occupy the whole building. Yeah, and if we go out into that building and the
Yeah.
flight school terminates, yeah, we still want capabilities.
So they have their own meter.
They do.
Yeah, okay. Yes,
Okay, so do you want to vote and just say yes?
let's make it official.
Yes. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to make a motion tonight besides me?
I think you're doing fine, Rich.
I'd like to motion to
Absolutely.
include the entire terminal building for the new generator set.
Second.
Thank you.
Switch it up.
Vote, please.
Aye.
Yes, Peter. Go ahead.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Moving on to item 4, Fitchburg Pilots Association update on the Young Eagles.
Yeah, it's still planned, going ahead for August the 13th. Everything's still on song, so now we can move quickly.
Item 5, new business, Building 18, Ken McLean.
Yeah, Ken McLean has a business within Building 18, which is the old Bullock Hangar, and the heating and ventilating system is not that good, and he's managed to get a grant from, I believe it was MassDOT or Mass something, to actually put in a special unit that does heating and ventilation, and basically he's going to pay the cost to have that done, and he just wanted permission from the commission to say, yes, we can do that. My concern there is that it's not ours, it's a system going into one of our buildings. Who pays for it when it goes wrong?
Right.
So
And my thought process here is that, do we have to get an agreement through the attorney that says, if this is going to happen, this is how it needs to be done?
I think that would make sense.
Yeah.
I got a question. Does his rent include heating and air conditioning now? Or is that on him?
He pays for the heating,
He does?
yes.
Is he not interested in maintaining whatever goes in there, or you haven't had that conversation?
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just thinking outside the box in
Yeah.
case something happens. Who is legally responsible for repairing it?
Well, if we don't include the heating and ventilation in his rent, I would say him, but, you know, I'm just
No, understand.
somebody
Understand.
looking from the
I-
outside in.
I put this through the procurement department. Mary Delaney went through everything, and she cannot see any reason why he shouldn't be allowed to do it,
Yeah,
because it's really like a gift to the city.
Right.
yeah.
So,
So he's adding HVAC in Building 18, or is he upgrading it? Existing?
he's upgrading. He's
Upgrading
putting
an
in a
existing
separate
system.
unit. He's putting in a separate unit.
All right.
That's one of these heat units,
It's for just heating,
heating and cooling.
heating and cooling, okay.
Yes.
Like a mini split, almost.
You could say that, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
I say go for it.
yeah.
You mean go for it, get it pushed through
Let him-
the
let-
attorney?
Let him, no, I'm saying, let him go do the, get the grant, have this, have it installed. The question of who maintains it later,
Well, I think we should put
Not
that
us.
as a caveat. That's a caveat.
Yeah.
You do it, you maintain it,
yeah,
Yes,
okay?
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
yeah, as long as it's clear up front, that,
Right.
and that's
Right.
what should.
Asking Vinnie to create a new lease to include all that, I would say that's probably not a good road to go down right now.
No? Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. But I will tell Ken that, yes, go ahead,
Yes.
okay, from the commission. Oh, do you
Yeah,
need to
let's-
vote on that?
Let's vote. I'd like to motion to allow Mr. McLean McLean, or McLean,
Yeah, McLean.
to go forward with his grant for heating and ventilation in Building 18. Motion?
Are you making the motion with the proviso that he pays for, that McLean pays for any maintenance on that?
Yes,
The caveat.
yes.
I will second that motion.
Thanks for the clarity, Beth. Let's vote.
I did just have one final comment. I'm assuming he's been in this hangar for a very long time, Peter?
Ken, he's been a tenant in there for maybe the last 5-6 years.
So,
But now that hangar has been handed down from Mr. Bullock, if you remember.
Yes.
To Rich Corley, Skyline Aviation.
okay, because that was my question was if he decides tomorrow, hey, I don't want this hangar anymore, do we then have to take on that HVAC system that he has installed, you know? Does that become
Likely, yes.
our priority? Yes,
Part of the building, yeah.
right.
But then our rent would reflect repairs for such a thing.
Exactly.
That's, right, that's,
Yeah.
right, okay. Just wanted clarification on that.
Old business, Valentine Eye Care. I think that was with Solicitor Pusateri.
It is, and I actually have the agreement. It's already been done. I've just got to fill it in and send it out and get the signatures from the mayor and Attorney Pusateri.
Okay,
I received that just before the meeting tonight.
Perfect.
So,
thank you. Item B, Mass Development Site Readiness. Mary Jo, you're on.
Hello, can you hear me okay? Good. Since you all last met, there were some administrative things that got taken care of, which is great. The Finance Committee and ultimately the City Council formally accepted the grant. And once that occurred, the actual grant agreement could get executed. So that has occurred. I know these are rather mundane things, but you can't begin until you do those things. So that's all good news. And I did speak with Ed Starzek of Mass Development. I mentioned you all were meeting this evening. And he suggested that maybe you all can be thinking about, and I know summer vacations and people being away, maybe that will affect it a little bit, but likely the kind of kickoff meeting with himself, yourselves, the consultants, and it may not be the full commission, it might be just maybe representatives of the commission, but in the next 2 to 3 weeks is what he suggested, but I realize that puts it kind of in that part of August where a lot of people may be away. So it's not etched in stone. What he suggested is I sort of just throw out to you all, if there happens to be a portion of August where you'll all be around, we could do that kind of a kickoff in August. If for some reason it's just not a good idea, then it could be after the summer vacations are done with different people. But he did suggest maybe you could be looking at your calendars, thinking about 2 to 3 weeks out, and then we can schedule a kickoff meeting for the site readiness.
Thank you. Let's try to do that right now. I'm available the second half of August.
I will be gone through the 17th, but we'll be back after the 17th of August.
This meeting would occur during the day?
It would be during the day, likely at the airport,
At the
the administration building.
So,
Yeah.
for 45 minutes.
Probably, and if for some reason one of the commissioners was going to be away but wanted to be a part of it, I assume maybe you have the ability to do a hybrid situation. I don't know if you have, maybe not.
Probably on a phone or a
And,
computer.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Just if commissioners that wanted to participate but couldn't
Yeah, yeah.
physically be there.
Yeah, we could do that, Zoom type
And it's
thing.
possible that of the consultants,
Yeah.
one might be participating virtually, perhaps.
And actually, we cannot all be there anyways.
That's right, because it would be a meeting, yeah.
Only one member?
I
Or
thought two.
So, yeah, schedule something Tuesday through Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
after August 17th.
Okay,
One of us will be there.
okay,
I'm going to take a chance,
okay.
yeah.
I will report back via email to you of some options to consider.
Yes.
But anyway, I realize it took a little while for us to get all the Ts crossed and the Is dotted and
No
so on.
problem.
That is now
As long as they're
happening.
patient enough. I know we haven't really used that grant money yet.
No, no.
Okay.
Exactly. All set?
That's it? Item C, door for lobby.
That's starting on Monday of next week.
What was that? I didn't hear that.
It's starting on Monday of next week.
Okay, Monday.
Tie downs, FPA co-op.
We still await a response from the FPA Co-op with respect to the letter that was sent out, but because we hadn't had a response back within 45 days, which was a requirement, I've already instigated the increase in their rent.
Okay. Item E, RFP 7 to 9 hangars.
That is in finalisation with Mr. Sheffels.
Item F, doors for hangar 2 and 3.
Absolutely complete and working incredibly well.
Awesome.
Off the agenda for next month's meeting.
Yeah, because it's finished now.
I'm just commenting.
Keep opening up those spaces, Richie.
There you go.
Item G, thank you very much for that, too. I know that was quite a rush, but we're going to move on now to item G. Roofs for hangars 2 and 3. Mr. Kettle,
Oh.
sorry, catch you off guard.
The MassDOT Aeronautics actually stopped that. But now, after a little bit of discussion and persuasion, it's now going ahead again. And hopefully we will start on doing the installation on the 2 roofs on hangars 2 and 3 within the next 2 weeks.
Causing you a little pain, I'm detecting.
No, we're all good, thank you.
Okay, that's good. Item H, hangar 10, new door,
Installed and working very well and signed off by the building inspector.
off the agenda.
All right.
Thank you, Peter.
You don't have to keep on saying that, I'll take it off.
I did that for the mayor, he enjoys hearing it, and, you know, whatever we can do to keep in his good graces is, just gonna keep on it. Item I, self-serve fuel transfer to and from truck.
Off the agenda.
Done?
Done.
Done?
Wow.
Wow.
Looking like a 15-minute meeting next time.
I told you that.
Item J, minimum standards, I know that that is still ongoing.
We're still working on it.
That's fine. Item K, well, the Pete's Store, that's still on the agenda.
It is, because we await the final signing of the ALP AMP, and that's the same for Convergent Energy.
Okay,
Okay.
so they're waiting on the ALP, yeah. Among other things, but nothing's gonna happen until land is appropriated. All right, brings us to item F, financial review. Do you have any commitments or abatements that need the commission's attention tonight?
No, sir.
You're good?
Yes, but I do have a couple of points. Just very, very quickly, we were approached about a month ago about somebody coming in and flying parachutes at the airport. And we sat down and I drew out a sketch and a safety plan. And they're now just about completed their first PPG. It's called a powered paraglider. They're in training and it's going very, very well. And obviously we're charging for this, so it's another revenue source for the airport. And also the annual increase is being implemented as of the 1st of August, the 3% that you all agreed to at the last meeting. So those are the 2 things that were outside of this. So I'm done. Thank you.
I have a question, Peter. So parachutes, people falling from the sky,
No, not
in and around the airport? I
Not
don't
falling,
understand.
not falling. They've got motors on the back. They strap a motor to the back, they run down the grass.
It's like a
they take
paraglide,
off, and they go flying. It's a beautiful
It's like a
sensation.
paraglider.
Yeah.
That's why it's called a PPG.
Do they have a radio?
They have a radio.
Yeah.
So it's like an airplane without wings?
Absolutely right. Yep. And they fly under 103, which is Part 103, which really says you are a development aircraft. So there's no requirement for them to have insurance.
Okay.
So I said to them, you're not flying at this airport without insurance, so get insurance. And they've got insurance.
We thought the ultra gliders were crazy.
Yeah, I'm glad I asked. Thanks.
Crazy.
Okay.
Item G, executive session. Of course, you have to announce that prior to the meeting. There isn't an executive session this evening. We're all set. Date and time of next regular meeting is August 17th, 6 PM. Request to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All four. Meeting is adjourned.